It is a waiting game right now. The Europeans say there are only a few days left to reach a deal and that Greece has not yet presented its proposal, while the Greeks have made clear that they are opposed to more austerity, as evidenced by the referendum over the weekend. What is your read on what happens next?
Well, we're really in uncharted territory, I think, at this point. But the Europeans and the Greeks know each other's positions very well. They've been arguing about what kinds of conditionality should be attached to a new program and to the last tranche of the last program for almost 6 months. And so they know the positions and they know the issues. The problem is that they have to make tough political decisions. Tsipras went to his people last Sunday and said, should I accept the last offer of the European Union? And his people said, the population, 61%, said no. So it would be really quite hard for him to go forward and say, okay, well, I've thought it over and I will accept it. That would cause him political problems at home. On the other hand, he needs more money now than he needed 2 weeks ago, because there has been this seizure of the financial system in Greece, and on top of the provision of more money to pay for maturing debt, he now has to find ways to recapitalize the banking system, or at least to demonstrate to the European Central Bank that the banking system is solvent, and that may take some additional funds or some additional flexibility on the part of the European Central Bank. Right. So the problems only get worse, and this may be finally a last chance.
There's certainly the urgency there. Now, you've written before, Charles, that this is a problem that's been years in the making. As the ambassador to Greece from 2004 to 2007, granted, those were the good years. What did you observe during that time that made what's happening now inevitable?
Well, the center-right government of Kostas Karamanlis was elected in March of 2004 on a program that seems in some ways prescient. He wanted to do pension reform, he wanted to do education reform, he wanted to privatize state enterprises, and he wanted to reduce the size of the state sector in Greece. As it happened in 2005, after the Olympics were in 2004, and they were the first concentration of that government. But in 2005, as he began to bring forward pieces of legislation to do those things, people came out on the streets and demonstrated and threw Molotov cocktails, and the left, which has always been quite strong in Greece, was drawing lines in the sand and opposing the proposals. And the government withdrew those proposals, hunkered down, and in its closing years in government didn't really accomplish all that much. Then the government that replaced them in 2009 was confronted with the fact that the preceding government had actually, shall we say, liberally taken liberal interpretations in terms of the reporting of the statistics. And when a clear audit was done, it was found that the government deficit was much larger than it was anticipated, and that began the problems that they have had. They lost market confidence. They needed to raise money. The first bailout program was done in 2010. So this, the sort of governance problems in Greece, the sort of inability of the government to take tough decisions except under extreme duress, is part of the problem. Right. And of course, that has been the focus of the European Union in holding Greece to this tough conditionality.
Right. Well, you could also argue that the Europeans allowed it to happen as well. Charles, we got headlines this morning from a Greek official that Alexis Tsipras held a phone call with President Obama and that he presented the Greek proposal to Obama, which follows on a conversation he had with Jack Lew yesterday. I wonder, what kind of role does the U.S. play in these negotiations? Are we a sounding board for Greece?
Well, we're certainly a good friend of Greece. We have had a long-standing interest in stability in Greece, and we have been concerned that some downward spiral in the relationship between the EU and Greece would be a bad thing. So it's entirely possible that before taking his proposals to the European summit today, the Prime Minister said to the President, this is what I think I will propose. This is the most that my government could sell domestically. What do you think? Can you be helpful? Could you call the German Chancellor and other officials in Europe to try and push it forward? I don't know that that's what happened in the call, but it's not beyond the scope of a possibility.
And do you think that that is a value add that the U.S. provides to discussions over the future of a European currency union? I mean, do you think that that's likely what happened?
Well, yes, I think it's quite like that. Certainly, the Prime Minister would welcome interest and concern on the part of the United States. And to be fair, I think the Europeans would as well. Europeans would look at it the other way. They would see the president as someone who could give sort of honest advice to the Greek Prime Minister to get serious and help us find a solution rather than a new political impasse.
Okay, Charles, you were a member of the NAFTA negotiating team once upon a time. Can Greece be out of the euro but still be a member of the European Union in that it can enjoy the free trade benefits? Would that work?
Oh, yes. I mean, there are only 19 members of the 28 members of the EU that are in the euro. There are countries with clear opt-outs like the UK and Denmark, and there are other countries, say Bulgaria, who haven't qualified, haven't met the convergence criteria for the euro. So it's certainly possible that they could be members of the EU while not being members of the euro currency.
And final question here. We talked earlier about how the two sides know each other's positions quite well. They've been going at this for months. At the same time, because they've been going at this for months now, what has each side learned about the other's pressure points that may allow for concrete progress this time? Because time is running out. Angela Merkel said it needs to be done in days, not weeks.
Yeah, well, one can only hope that they have learned. I think that what the Northern Europeans have learned is that they have to offer, in a sense, some light at the end of the tunnel for Greece, some sympathy to the idea that Greece needs a horizon to shoot at. For the Greeks, I think that they have learned that appeals to sympathy, you're crushing us, some of the worst references to the Europeans in really very unfavorable ways hasn't helped them get to agreement. So they have both made, if you will, political mistakes. When you're negotiating, what you want to do is help your partner get to yes. Say yes to what it is that you want.
Right.
And sometimes you need to set a favorable political environment and talk about the things you agree about rather than the things you don't.